The website Mike.com has a very important article up right now about how Victoria's Secret has normalized discrimination. And I mean, obviously, when you think Victoria's Secret, you think normalization of discrimination. Who doesn't? Now, according to Mike's Twitter account, it says that their Twitter account says, since its first show in 1995, no plus size, out transgender, or gender non-conforming people have walked the Victoria's Secret runway ever. This is not a parody of, no, this is a real thing that liberals are upset about now. And saying that there's never been any men um or obese people walking down the Victoria's Secret runway, that's a bit like saying, well, since the first monster truck race in 1972, no unicycles or scooters have competed ever. Whatever you think of Victoria's Secret fashion show, the whole point of the thing is for these skinny, attractive women to model underwear. So that's just why it exists. That's the point of it. If you're looking for a show where men model underwear, as Mike.com apparently is, then you can find that. I mean, I'm sure there are places you can go and you can find that sort of entertainment if you want. But it's just that's not what Victoria's Secret is all about. See, this is the thing about the left. If you notice, nothing is ever allowed to be about anything or for anything anymore. Have you noticed that? This is kind of the consequence of this obsession with fairness and diversity and inclusiveness, because because I'm just trying to think of a way to explain this. Okay, to anyone who's a liberal and doesn't understand, everything, okay, everything, in order to be a thing, in order to have a purpose and an identity and a reason to exist, everything must be a certain thing and therefore must exclude all of the things that it is not. Okay? So for a thing to be a thing, it must not be the things that it isn't. Is this making sense to you? So the Victoria's Secret fashion show is specifically a thing where attractive women walk down the runway in underwear. Now, if that's not a thing that you like or support or think is appropriate or whatever, fine. But when you say, no, this thing cannot be that thing, this thing must include all other things, it must be a celebration of diversity and transgenderism and manhood and obesity, etc., then you've just destroyed the thing. You haven't expanded it, you haven't diversified it, you haven't made it. No, you've just gotten rid of it. You've gotten rid of the thing. The thing doesn't exist anymore. And that's what the left is doing all over the place. They're erasing all lines, all distinctions, all definitions, and thereby they're just erasing everything. The sacrament of marriage is another example of this phenomenon, probably a much better example actually than the Victoria's Secret fashion show. But that has been the entire argument with marriage. It's, marriage is a certain thing. If you make marriage into anything, then marriage no longer exists. It's not a thing anymore. It has to be a specific thing, which means it must exclude the things that it isn't. And it's just the liberals. Not that I'm trying to really draw a comparison between the Victoria's Secret fashion show and marriage. I'm just saying these are examples, and there are so many of the left looking at a particular thing and saying, well, no, that's not right because it excludes all the things that it isn't, which, which, which it has to. Okay, that's what it means to be a thing. By the way, I think this is more important news. Yesterday was Thank You Birth Control Day. I don't know if you celebrated. Hopefully you did, but it was yesterday was Thank You Birth Control Day. It was a day for people on the left mostly, to stand up for their right to use birth control. And so on social media, especially on Twitter, people were spending the day tweeting about the wonders of birth control, about how much they need it, how much it has liberated them, how much they love it, uh, how they'll never let anyone take it away from them. I want to give you a quick sample of some of the tweets on the Thanks Birth Control hashtag, just to give you an idea of what people were saying. The first one is from Hillary Clinton. She says, reproductive rights are human rights. Women's freedom to decide whether and when to have children is core to their liberty as human beings. Today, we celebrate the power to decide. Someone else says, thanks, birth control, for allowing my husband and I to plan our family according to our financial and emotional ability. We both believe it would be a disservice to our family to have children we cannot comfortably afford. Thanks, birth control, for helping women achieve their goals without putting their economic security in jeopardy. Planned Parenthood says your body is your own, and if not, you can't be truly equal or free. Access to birth control is vital for people to live full, healthy lives and plan their futures. Some Democrat politicians jumped in on the act. A woman's right to control her reproductive future is critical to her participation in all aspects of society. From our economy to our democracy, we must continue to protect that right and stand up for reproductive health care. So on and so forth. So you read these tweets, and as a conservative, what's your first reaction when you read those tweets? What's your reaction to them? What do you think? I think I know what your reaction is because I think it's the same as mine. And so you read that, and people say, well, birth control is so important, no one can take it away from me. Your reaction is, okay. And what's your point? You see, this is one of the absolute weirdest things about the left is this feverish paranoia that they have that someone is going to come and take their birth control away. They've been screaming for years that bad men are coming to steal their birth control, even though no one is suggesting that. Nobody is threatening to take their birth control. Not one person on the right is proposing that we ban birth control. That's not a thing. That's not a position that we hold. No one is arguing for that. So it seems like every conversation with the left about birth control, it goes like this. The liberal will go, stay away from my birth control. Okay. You're not taking my birth control away. Okay, calm down. It's my birth control and you can't have it. I don't want, birth control is mine. And then that's kind of how the conversation goes. And conservatives are left just sort of really confused. That's what we don't really know what to say because this is not, how did this ever come up? We never said anything about this. Liberals will valiantly defend their right to use birth control while literally no one disputes that right. They insist that no one will take away their birth control while literally no one is trying to take it away. There was an article in the Daily Beast yesterday that, it was an article that was written a year ago, and which was retweeted by the Daily Beast yesterday. And I'm surprised they retweeted it because they should be embarrassed by it because the title of the article was, "Here's how we're going to lose our birth control under Trump." Okay, well, that was a year ago. Has anyone lost their birth control under Trump? Can you find me one single woman in the United States who is now entirely unable to obtain birth control because of Donald Trump? I mean, did this prophecy come to fruition? In fact, we've had a Republican government for 2 years. Have they stolen birth control from anybody? Have they sent the birth control, enforcement agency raiding into people's homes, into their medicine cabinets to steal their birth control pills? Has that happened? Look, if that's been happening, I will change my tune. I will apologize for all the mockery right now that I'm engaging in. If that is actually happening, if there are women who have been scared senseless when federal agents have burst into their homes to confiscate their birth control, if that's going on, then forget everything I'm saying. But I don't think it is happening. In fact, I don't think it's happened anywhere in the country at all. Okay. So this has not happened unless the Daily Beast or any other liberal can provide me an example. I'm going to say that it is not happening. Now, what is this all about? What is this clamoring about birth control and how important birth control is and how they're not going to let anyone take away their birth control? What is this really about? Well, it's about a couple of things. We realize, first of all, that when they say that conservatives want to ban or get rid of or take away their birth control, what they really mean is that conservatives don't want to pay for their birth control. This is a conflation that people on the left engage in quite a bit, where they conflate, us not wanting to pay for something with us trying to take that thing away, right? There are a lot of things that you do in your life that I would never try to prevent you from doing, and I would never support any law that would prohibit you from doing. but that I still would not want to pay for myself. I mean, there are a million examples. Almost everything you do in your life, actually, is something that you go ahead and do it. I just don't want to pay for it. That's all. Um, so, liberals pretend that they don't understand this distinction. I think they must understand it. Like, they must understand that if they came to me and said, "Hey, I want to go to the movies. Can you give me $25 to pay for a couple of movie tickets?" And if I say, "No, I'm not going to pay for your movie ticket," it wouldn't make any sense for them to say, "Why are you trying to stop me from going to the movies? I have a right to go to the movies. Why are you trying to prevent me? You can't prevent me." I'm not trying to stop you. I'm just saying I don't want to pay for it. That's all. And why don't I want to pay for it? Because it's my money. I've got other things I'd like to pay for. That's not high on my list of priorities to make sure that you go to the movies. And when it comes to your sex life, you know, as you will remind us all the time, your sex life is your sex life. It's your business. That's my point. It is your business in every sense of the word. It is not my business. I don't want to be involved in it. Okay. It's not on my list of, paying to make sure that your sex life is facilitated. That is not on my list of concerns in my life. I've got many other things, like we all do, that I need to pay for. I got my kids to take care of. I got a family. I got a mortgage. I got all these things, right? And making sure that you can have sex, that's just not on the list. I'm sorry. That's something that you got to take care of. Be an adult and take care of it yourself. That's all. What happened to consent? Isn't consent important? I do not consent to being involved in your sex life. That's all. I don't consent to it. It makes me uncomfortable, really, to be honest with you. But as long as I'm not involved, go ahead. Take all the birth control you want. I would take it in accordance with the directions on the bottle, but do your thing. I'm not trying to stop you. No one is trying to stop you. So that's the only threat to birth control that exists. And it's not a threat to birth control at all. It just, people are saying, I don't want to pay for it. I just don't want to pay for it. And not that this even matters, but it should be repeated that you don't even need someone to pay for your birth control, because birth control is extremely easy to obtain. You can go to you can get free birth control. You can get birth control for cheap. There's birth control everywhere in our society. Birth control is practically raining from the sky. Or do you need it to literally rain from the sky before you'll admit that it's plenty easy to obtain? Because I would say it all but rains from the sky right now, because you can go, unless you live in the desert or something, unless you live in the desert and you don't have a car, and it's a 900-mile walk through the desert sands to get to your nearest Walmart. Assuming you don't live in that situation, assuming you live just in society with the rest of us, you can go anywhere and get birth control, and nobody will try to stop you. People on the left will often make fun of conservatives, claiming that we're always clinging to our guns and insisting that nobody will take our guns away, even though they say nobody is threatening to take our guns away. Except that in that case, people actually do want to ban guns and restrict guns and confiscate guns and prevent people from buying guns, and so on and so forth. That is most certainly a position that is held by many people on the left. There's no denying it, right? Meanwhile, nobody on the right holds the position that birth control should be banned. Nobody holds. You would have to go back many years to get to a time where banning birth control was a proposal supported by any significant number of people. But that has not been the case for a very long time. So what is this about? Well, we know as I said, we know it's partly about this conflation of, I have a right to it, therefore I have a right for you to pay for it. So there's that going on. But the other part of it is it's an absurd talking point for the left to put out there. But if they can convince people of it, it's obviously very convenient. It's a great way to get people mobilized. I mean, if you're a liberal politician and you can actually convince your voters that Republicans are trying to steal their birth control, if you can convince your voters of that, then clearly that's going to be a great way to mobilize them. And they have been able. Somehow they've been able to convince their voters of that. And all I would say to those voters is, you have Google, you have the internet. Just go Google this sometime to see how many Republicans have actually proposed banning birth control. And what you'll find is that none of them have. And so you're fine. That's all. You don't need to worry about it. All right. One other thing I wanted to mention. Kat Timpf is a Fox News personality. She's the latest one on Fox News to be chased out of a restaurant. She was chased out of a bar in Brooklyn earlier this week because some liberals recognized her, and so they, harassed her, abused her verbally, and chased her out. And so it goes. The same story repeats over and over and over again. I do want to make one point about this, and I feel like when it comes to these situations, most of what can be said has been said a million times. But we see that the left's strategy now is to be obviously just completely intolerant of those who hold opposing views, to treat them like the scum of the earth, to harass and abuse them, and so on. I think we should understand why they're doing this, though. What is the strategy? Why are they doing this? Well, obviously, some of this is just garden variety, 2-year-old temper tantrums, basically, just an inability to express their anger or their opposition civilly. So there's obviously a lot of that involved, but there's more to it as well. There's a strategy here, and it's all about optics. Okay, which sounds kind of counterintuitive because we think, well, this is really bad optics on their part to be protesting at people's homes, terrorizing their wives, chasing them out of restaurants, and all of that, screaming at them when they come to speak on college campuses. It seems like bad optics, but it's only bad optics as far as conservatives are concerned. We look at that and think, wow, these people are nuts. But I think the strategy is it's not targeted at us. It's targeted at other liberals and maybe some people who are on the left who are in the middle and lean kind of to the left. I think the idea is to paint the opposition as completely intolerable, not even worth engaging. That's the idea, is to send the message that these people are so evil and so wrong and so stupid in everything they believe that there's nothing we can do but banish them from society. There's nothing they're not even worth talking to. If you see them at a restaurant, kick them out. And that's the idea. And in some ways, it's a smart strategy, because then the other side isn't given an opportunity to actually say anything and argue their point, and therefore show that they are not evil and stupid and insane, because you're just shouting them down and chasing them away, and that's it. So I think we should understand that there is a definite strategy here. There's some thought that goes into it. It's not. We make a mistake when we assume that this is all just a temper tantrum and nothing more. It is partly that, but for the people who are people on the left who are encouraging this and organizing this kind of stuff, and promoting it and fostering it, there is a strategy for them, and that is to send a message that that the ideas these people hold are so terrible, so idiotic, so irrational, that there is just nothing you can do with them but exile them from civilized society. All right. We'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening, and Godspeed.